Let's add a menu to our block entity. If you want to go deeper, the 26.x modding courses are linked down below. 30 plus hours covering complex block entities with fluid and energy handling, custom mobs, custom networking, and even custom biomes and dimensions. Everything you need for 26.x, all in one place, linked down below in the description. Alright, we found back in challenge more, and in this tutorial we'll be adding a menu to our pedestal block entity over here. So this is our pedestal block, and this is our pedestal block entity. Now the cool thing about a menu is that adding it to an already existing block entity is actually not as crazy as one might think. The real issue with, I wouldn't say issue, but like the real complicated stuff about block entities is just you can add so many more things, right? We can add the menu, and then we could add a tick, method, and then we could add recipes, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. But we'll see that in the next tutorial. We're gonna add a completely like a crafting block entity from beginning all the way to end, which is probably going to take like 50 minutes or so, but that's just what it is. Luckily, this tutorial does not take as long because, well, implementing the menu here isn't as crazy. For the block entity, we wanted to implement the menu provider because we need to provide a menu. That's the idea. And we're going to implement that interface with two different methods overwritten. Let's just move them up a little bit over here though. That's going to be the menu stuff so that okay, this is coming from the menu, right? So those two methods are from the menu. That's not quite right, actually. It is this one and this one. Those are what we want. So we have the create menu method as well as the get display name. Create menu method, we're going to make a deliberate error right now because we don't have this yet. And then here we can do a component translatable, and we're going to do, we're going to do block.tutorialmod.pedestal right here because that is already translated, and that's going to be the exact name that we need. Now the question might come in, okay, how are we going to create the menu? Well, we create the menu by actually registering a menu and a screen. So that's going to be the next step. In the tutorial mod package, we're going to make a new package called menu, and inside of there we'll make two new first of all, the first Java class, which is the mod menu types. There we go. And then a custom package which is going to house both the screen as well as the menu. I'll explain each of those in a second. This would be the pedestal menu class. There we go. And we'll also have the pedestal screen class. Now, what are either of those? The general gist is the screen over here determines how things are rendered. So they are akin to the block entity renderer, but actually for the screen, right? So for like a simple graphic, we are just going to draw something on the screen in 2D, and that's going to be the screen. We will determine for this a GUI texture, and that is then going to be drawn on the screen, and we'll see that. The menu is sort of an intermediary class between the block entity and the screen, because the screen, we remember once again, when we draw things, when we are rendering things, that's all client only, meaning the screen is a purely client class, and the server doesn't know anything about the screen because it doesn't need to, because we're just drawing an image, right? That's all we're doing. Now the menu, that's doing the functionality. For example, the functionality of, being able to click on certain slots. That's all done in the menu because the server needs to know what is happening with the different slots, and has to be able to synchronize all of that and basically be sure that that all works. We're going to start with the pedestal menu class. We will not be able to like fully finish it because, once again, going around, it just is what it is. This will extend from the abstract container menu. So there's the abstract container menu right here. We'll hover over this to implement the methods right here. Hover over this again, create constructor matching super. We'll also make this public right here, and then we are going to go kind of crazy because we're going to need all sorts of things. Generally speaking, when we're setting up a menu, it does always look similar to this, but sometimes you may or may not need like a couple of other things, but let's just start. So first of all, we're going to have a public final pedestal block entity. This is going to be our block entity is fine. That's fine. There we go. And we'll also have a private final level. This is from net Minecraft world level over here. We're going to call this level as okay. Now, of course, those two, because they're final, have to be added to a constructor. And for this, we're going to actually make two constructors. The first one is going to have the first parameter be the container ID, then inventory. This is correct. Inventory. We're just going to call it INV, and then a friendly byte buff over here. We'll call this the extra data. This is what we're going to get from registering the pedestal menu. So this is basically the constructor used to register this. And then instead of calling the super, we're going to call this, which is going to call another constructor, which we're going to make, and that's going to call the super. Passing in container ID, passing in INV, passing in INV.player.level.getBlockEntity, and then extra data.read block pause. It looks kind of crazy, but I'll explain in a second. Finally, a new item stack resource handler of size 1 over here. That is correct. Sadly, it's not smart enough to make a new constructor, so I guess we have to do that on our own. That's okay. There's a block entity, and the last one is an item stack resource handler over here, which we're going to call the handler. Look at that, and all of a sudden, there's no more error right here, and this one's fine. As always, of course, you can check out the Git description below. There's a GitHub repository. Highly recommended to check that out. You can basically get all of that there. Now, in the super call, the first parameter is going to be empty. The second one is the container ID, and then we can proceed. Now, what is this like insanity here, by the way? Well, the container ID is just the ID for the container. Then we have the inventory, which would be the inventory for the player. So this is the player's inventory. Then we have then we're getting the block entity via this extra data. The block position is gotten through a friendly byte buff, which we've seen previously. A byte buff, we have seen that in the networking case, right? So this was a registry friendly byte buff, but a friendly byte buff nonetheless. So this means that there's some sort of exchange between client and server. So that's a very important point to recognize right here. And then the item stack resource handler is just a sort of what this is supposed to be, the inventory, and that basically gets set via, well, I mean, we just need one of those right here. So, you know, we're basically just gonna add that. In the pedestal menu, in the second constructor, we're gonna do this block entity, and then this is exactly right. We're gonna cast the block entity to a pedestal block entity. Then we can say this level equals, I will do inv.player.level instead. That's gonna be okay. Then we're going to copy over to helper methods, and yeah, that's gonna be fine. So once again, all of the code is down below. This is going to be for the player inventory and the player hotbar. These methods are always going to be the same for the time being, as long as the player inventory is going to look like this, because those basically create the slots for the player inventory. That's why their order is the same, and that's why you can basically copy them over. Yes, you can go through them and you can understand them. Oh, they set down the different slots in each different rows. There's 3 rows, there's 9 slots, so on and so forth. But generally speaking, you can basically just copy it over and say, that's fine. It adds the player inventory, it adds the player hotbar, and that's all you need to know. That's really all that there is to it. Nothing too crazy. We will then call both of those. First, the inventory passing an inv, and then the hotbar passing an inv again. Very good. Then we wanted to add our custom slot. You'll see that in a second. What we call the add slot method right here, making a new resource handler slot, passing in the handler, handler, then the handler : set over here as the method. Handler index, slot index is 0, position is 80 and 35. I will show you why those are the case in a second. And then I'll also do the following. I will make this an anonymous class where I override the getMaxStack method over here, getMaxStackSize method, actually, and that is going to be 1, because we only want to be able to set one item into this container slot over here, and it wouldn't sort of force only one in there if we didn't override this particular method. Like I said, the numbers here I will explain in a second when we see the actual GUI, then that's going to be fine. And then there's 2 more methods, the still valid and the quick move stack method. Still valid is not as crazy. That's going to call the still valid with this container access over here, where we'll pass in the container level access of create, passing in the level, passing in block entity.get position, or get block pause actually. Then the second one is going to be the player, and the last one is modblocks.pedestalblock.get. Idea here being, are we still going to have this particular menu open if we are a particular distance away from it, and at some point it's no longer going to be valid and it's going to close the menu on its own. And then my absolutely favorite quick move stack method, where I will copy over a huge chunk over here always, and I'm always going to do that, and I will probably always do that until they change this. So the idea is as follows. This is the entire chunk that we're copying over here. Highly it's huge credit once again goes to DZM07 right here, as this quick move stack method is the shift clicking method. So you hold shift down and you click an item and it goes into the inventory. Now this is the calculation that it needs. In theory, it's not that crazy, but it actually is that crazy, because you need to basically say, okay, well, if you are in this slot, then you have to go there, and if you're in this slot, you have to go there, and it just doesn't make any sense to spend any time on this. It's a solved problem basically. The only thing you need to do is this right here. So if you have an inventory with 8 different slots, then this would need to be 8, right? But because we only have 1 slot, right, given by the fact that number 1, we've just added 1 slot right here, and also that our item stack resource handler inside of our block entity is of size 1, right? So you have 1 inventory slot, meaning we need to set this to 1. That is the most important point about this, copying this over. The rest sort of doesn't matter. With that being said, that that is the entire menu class done over here. So that's pretty neat. And we can then move to the screen, which, like I said, that is the one where, well, it's basically going to only draw this, but that's going to be fine. This extends the abstract container screen. That's correct, but not by the pedestal block entity, but rather the pedestal menu, because this needs to be a menu class. And then we're going to just copy this over, or rather implement the constructor. That's okay. And then we have a private static final identifier. This is going to be our GUI texture equal to the identifier from namespace and path. It's going to be tutorial mod ID. And then this is going to be textures GUI pedestal PNG. Almost, it's actually going to be pedestal and then pedestal GUI.png, but it was almost right. Here we wanted to override one method, which is the extract background method. This is the method that draws the background. Here we will have two integers. These are just helpful. This is going to be width minus image width and then divided by 2. This is basically going to determine, and this is actually exactly right, so this is correct. The idea here being that we want to get the middle of the screen, and that's the way to get the middle of the screen. And then we're going to use the graphics.blit right here with render pipelines.GUI textured, passing in the GUI texture. Then the position of where this is drawn, X and Y, this is the middle of the screen, and then 0 and 0 for the offset. Then the image width and the image height, and then 256, 256. Now, once again, you're going to be like, what in the frick are those different numbers? Well, how about we actually add the GUI texture, and I will explain how those fit together. Under tutorial mode to textures, we want to add the GUI and then another directory inside, which is going to be called pedestal. There we go. And that is where the pedestal GUI goes. Of course, also available to you down below for download. And it's going to look kind of like this. And all of a sudden, a lot of things make sense. So what's the first thing we have? We have this particular one singular slot right here. So we think back to the menu, right? We think back to 80 and 35. It's 80 pixels in this direction and 35 pixels in this direction. And we end up with about this pixel right here. And that is where the slot is located. All of a sudden, the numbers make sense. Then when we get these numbers right here, the image width and height, we can actually double check this. We can see here default image width is 176 and 166 here for the width and height. And I can tell you that this is, well, wait, which is which? With 176, right? So this is 176 and this is 166. Now you might say, yeah, but the entire image is 256 by 256. That's correct. That's why we have the texture width and height over here at 256. It's a real issue that image width and texture width kind of feel like it's the same. I really think that this should be renamed to file width and file height, because it really is on the file level, right? So if you have a GUI that's bigger, you can of course give different numbers right here, and that will then scale it up or scale it down, you know, however you want. The most important point is just that the image itself is actually bigger than just the texture over here that you're going to display on the screen. That's the idea. But that's how this all fits together. And that is, by the way, the screen done. We can then register everything here in the mod menu types, and that's of course going to be absolutely fantastic. And what do we need for a registration? Exactly, a deferred register of type menu type of type question mark. There we go. Menu underscore types equal to deferred register dot create with registries dot menu, and then this is going to be tutorial mod ID. And of course, where there's a deferred register, we're also going to get ourselves a register method with an event bus. We're going to call that event bus, exactly. And then menu register absolutely fantastic. Menu types register, passing in that event bus. Let's also call this register method immediately. And as always, of course, the code is available to you down below. I don't know how often I can mention it, but basically that's the idea. For this, we'll need a helper method, private static, then a angle bracket t extends abstract container menu. Then this is going to return a deferred holder of type menu type of type question mark. Second type of the deferred holder is menu type of type t. There we go. Register menu type with a string name parameter. And the second parameter is an iContainer factory of type t. I'm going to call this here the factory. There we go. Looks a little bit crazy, but there we have it. And it's going to return menu types.register, passing in the name, and then a supplier of iMenu type extension.create, passing in the factory. So there we go. That's like generally speaking, really not that complicated, but still kind of nice. And then we can just make a public static final deferred holder. There's a deferred holder right here of menu type of type question mark, and then menu type of type pedestal menu in this case. And this is the pedestal underscore menu equal to the register menu type method. And this is actually exactly correct. Yeah, pedestal menu and then pedestal menu new. Boom. There we have it. Registered. We can now move back to the pedestal menu to add this to the super call mod menu types dot pedestal menu dot get. Boom. Easy enough. That finishes the menu class. Then we go to the pedestal block entity where we're going to say, hey, inside of the abstract container menu, menu, we're going to make a new pedestal menu, passing in the container ID, passing in the inventory, passing in this dot inventory. So the container ID is obviously just an ID, right? So there's like an identifier. Then the inventory here is the player inventory. Then this is obviously just the block entity that is associated with this menu. And then this dot inventory just also gives it the inventory. That's the idea. Do we in theory need this last one? I mean, given the fact that we're giving it the block entity, probably not, but I mean, it's fine. There's 100% ways to streamline this a little bit, but at some point menus, and there have been so many changes with menus as well, that I'm just happy that it works well, and then that's basically sort of the modus operandi right here. The question you might ask yourself is though, okay, now that we have this like create menu method, it's not really like used anywhere. I mean, it's used in the menu provider and the simple player, but like, why do we need to provide a menu, or whom do we need to provide the menu to? Honestly, a very good question, and the answer is, well, how do you usually open up a menu? You right-click a block. Well, hold on a second. But in our pedestal block class, we're already using the right-clicking functionality right here. Exactly right. But luckily, we can, well, just sort of hijack into it in a slightly different way. So what we're going to do is, when you right-click this while crouching, then you're going to open up the menu. So inside of the if statement here, if it's a pedestal block entity, I'm going to say if player.is crouching, then we're going to say player.open menu, making a new simple menu provider, passing in the pedestal block entity. And we need a component over here, and just do translatable blocks, block.tutorial.mod.pedestal is correct. And then this would be after the first closing parentheses, we want to pass in the position. Actually, not quite. After the second one, we want to pass in the position. There we go. And that's going to open the menu. And here, I would highly recommend you also then return a interaction of success, because if the menu is open, you don't want any of this stuff to happen. You only want to open the menu. So if you're crouching, you just open the menu. Boom. That's it. That's all there is to it. And this is basically how to open a menu from a block with a block entity. Yeah. You can see still, more involved than one might think, because we do need to pass through a couple of classes, but that is the general gist of how to create a menu over here. And the final step, we're not done yet. If someone skipped to the end, well, that's a bummer, because the screen right here is not really connected with anything, and we still need to connect this. So we want to go to our tutorial mode client class, and that is where we want to connect the screen with the menu. And to do that, we're going to make a new public static void register screens class, or rather method, screens method right here with the register menu screens event. Well, this event, of course, and as always, gonna have an @subscribe event annotation. Absolutely fantastic. Event.register, first passing in the mod menu type, so mod menu types.pedestal menu.get, and then the pedestal screen : new. No errors should be present, and that is all that we're going to need in this instance. We don't need to run data gen, because there's no data gen to be had. So let's jump into the game and see if it menus. All right, finally back in Minecraft, and let's just shift right click and bada bing bada boom. There we have a menu. We have the radiation stuff in there. I can take it out, and there we go. And I can even, I can put something else in, and it will display here, and I can take it out like this. So obviously there's like now two ways to interact with the pedestal. I still think that this is a really cool idea. And also it's a really nice way to illustrate the menu, right? I mean, you can right click and then you have all of this in here, and it just sort of works, right? I think that this is a very, very good idea. Of course, you might want to change it about, right? You might want to be like, oh, if I normally right click it, then it opens the menu. And if I control click it, maybe then you get the item out or something like that. That is easily done for you. Like, you can obviously do that. That's like super not complicated to do. But generally speaking, this works, and that's all we want to do. So that is a menu over here added to our block entity. Absolutely fantastic. And that's gonna be it for this tutorial right here. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks for all the support on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Don't forget, if you join as a Stonebricks member on YouTube, you can get up to 14 days of early access, including this video right here, where we'll go through an entire new block entity for, well, basically crafting from beginning to end. Oh boy, hope to see you there. So yeah.